Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Adam Fyfe and I'm with eXp Realty. And today I have my friend Joe with Mortgage Connection. And we're going to have a conversation about interprovincial migration coming to Calgary and what buyers need to be prepared for when they actually go and make a purchase in Calgary or Alberta as a whole. This week at the CREB forecast for 2023, we saw a lot of migrants in 2022, about 18,000 from Ontario, 7,000 from British Columbia. So I thought it was a really good idea to bring Joe on and just have a conversation about what people need to expect when they go for a mortgage and purchase a property. So Joe, thank you very much for coming on the channel. Why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about Mortgage Connection?
Well, thank you so much, Adam. I appreciate the opportunity to be on here, talk about a pretty cool topic. It's nice to have everyone moving into Alberta.
Yeah.
We could use that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mortgage Connection, it's a brokerage here in Calgary. I'm one of the principals with Mortgage Connection. We're obviously hyper locally focused and got a big team, about 100 people, but really focused on the client experience and making sure that we make mortgages as enjoyable as they can be. Not the funnest topic, but a pretty important one.
Right on, man. And I do want to call you out too, or like give you some kudos because you guys have grown quite a bit in the last like 5 to 10 years. I know your story, and it's really cool to hear like a small little shop just growing to such a crazy team. So good for you, man. Client experience is definitely 10 out of 10.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much.
So why don't we touch on like 3 subtopics about it? And let's start off the first one from interprovincial migration coming from Ontario, British Columbia mainly, and people who are looking to move here that are looking to get a new job, start off, fresh start. What is your advice for that type of buyer?
Yeah, that's a really good point. We sometimes see people thinking they can just buy because they have employment where they are right now, but new employment in Alberta is a key if you're getting new employment that you actually have it. But it doesn't mean that you have to be in that job for 3 months or 6 months, especially if you're in a similar type of industry. Most lenders are going to be fine with the fact that you're moving across a border. So some will want to see a pay stub just to make sure that you're actually there and it's happening. But we'll actually even have lenders that are okay just with a good confirmation with your employer that you're being moved. If it's a transfer situation, like you're being transferred from the existing employer, it's like nothing's happened. So that's fine too. But it's not something where you have to have a long period of new employment before you're going to be able to qualify. But you definitely need to have employment in the place you're working if it's a new job.
So when people are preparing for something like that, again, going like 3 to 6 months in the future here, it's definitely worth getting a pre-approval, I would imagine, but then also having that relationship with a mortgage broker because things are going to change. You're going to find maybe a new job and stuff like that. So when it comes to that per se, what is your how would you word it? What would be your advice for people that are looking for a new job, but they don't really know what to expect? It's kind of a weird question now that I think about it.
Oh, it's fine. I get it. It's just making sure that you have that secured. So what we don't want to see someone do is, they quit their job in Ontario, they write an offer in Alberta hoping that they find employment. That's setting you up for disaster.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
So there's potentially opportunity that if you're in Ontario and you could buy a property in Alberta as a second home or an investment property or something like that based on your income that you still have and your ultimate plans to move to Calgary or into Alberta. So there's that strategy if you don't have employment yet. The best option is secure the employment first. Get your full pre-approval based on knowing what that employment is. And then you're going to be in a position to effectively write an offer and know you can get an approval.
So don't jump the gun.
Don't jump
the gun. That's the number one takeaway today. Yeah, and I agree with that. How about people that are working from home? Because people working remotely is very popular since the pandemic has happened.
Right.
What's kind of the strategy or the play for them?
So a little different and probably a simpler process, really. We've seen tons of that where people are moving in from another province, but not changing employment. So they have a work from home policy. They can work remotely. A lot are just requiring, closeness to an international airport or whatever it is. So a lot of employers are implementing systems that allow people to move somewhere else. And that's really attracting people to Alberta. So that's really simple. All you would need is, a regular income verification, employment letter, letter of employment, and then the lender's just going to do a little bit of a further due diligence to make sure, okay, your employer's in Toronto, are they okay with you working in Calgary? They say yes, clean sailing, we're good.
Perfect. And my last question, and it's a little bit off topic, but I'm curious to see how you approach this situation. Let's just say somebody comes to you and say, I want to buy a house for $500,000. You go through the pre-approval process. What does that look like if they decide to switch it up and maybe buy an acreage? Or they want to buy something, maybe a higher price point, obviously they're going for an acreage, but they want to change the property type. How does that look like in terms of like the pre-approval process? Because I would imagine it's pretty different.
Yeah, so property type can impact things a little bit, but really it's dollar amount more than anything.
Okay.
So, if they're buying something really obscure, that's, farmland or something like that, that's going to change lending conditions. But if it's, I'm buying a $500,000 house or a $800,000 house or an $800,000 house with 5 acres, it's really not going to change things that much. So, acreage properties don't really throw things off unless there's farming activity and that sort of thing. The banks don't want to be in a position where they ever have to foreclose on a farmer.
Fair enough.
That's something that they want to be avoiding. But if you're looking at making a change, like whenever we pre-approve someone, we always pre-approve them for their max. We always talk budget with them. So like, let's say they qualify for $800,000, but they only want to spend $5. That's great. Awesome. Buying well within their means. But we always pre-approve people for their max. The reason we do that is so they know what their buying power is. When they're out shopping, things could change. So they could say, well, I thought I wanted to spend 5, but I've recalculated. We're comfortable with what it is at 6. If we haven't pre-approved them at 6, we might not have money hedged for them and held at that amount. So we always go to their max so that no matter what they do, they can do it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So thank you very much for kind of sharing some information with myself and the viewers. How can people get a hold of you if they have some questions about their mortgage?
Sure. I'm always happy to talk. I'm available phone, email, text.
Okay.
I don't want to spew it all out because Mortgage Connection's a mouthful. So hopefully you can just put my info up there, and we're happy to connect on anything.
That's awesome. Yeah, Joe is totally open for conversations. No obligation. He's not going to bind you in a contract unless that's something that you want to do, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's all I got. So thank you very much once again for coming on the channel and explaining some things. So make sure to reach out to Joe if you've got any mortgage related questions, or reach out to me if you've got any real estate related questions. So thank you very much, Joe, and I guess we'll see you on the next one.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Take care.